transformation, and it's also my sister's birthday.
Yeah.
Hi, Jane. Hi, Jane. Good morning. Happy
Morning.
birthday.
Thanks.
Um, Jane has graciously agreed to do this with some arm twisting. No, just kidding. Because she's usually out jogging right now. But it's time for 7 minutes of sunshine at 7:07, and Jane is going to share her values and her superpower with us today, which I really appreciate. For those of you who don't know, Jane is chairwoman of Donato's Pizza, and Jane grew up along with our whole family. A lot of Donato's pizzas, living behind the first pizza shop. You can see in the corner there, me and Jane and Kate, which in the house right behind the first Donato's, right, Jane? Oh my God, can you believe that picture? Jane is an author of a book called The Missing Piece, which tells the Donato stories and actually goes over all these values, which she's going to go over with you today. She has been on the show Undercover Boss, and she's incredibly involved with the community. Helped start the Reeb Center on the south side of Columbus, which has made a huge difference. Jane, I could probably spend the whole 7 minutes talking about all the great stuff you do. But I'm so proud of you, and I'm really grateful that you're going to share with us today. And I'm going to turn this over to you, and I'm just going to let you go for it.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for asking me to do this. I know, yes, I'm usually out. My daughter's got me in the habit of running in the morning, and now they've left me. One got married, the other one went to school. And so I appreciate just having a minute, but mostly very inspired, really, with your courage to do this and be out and put some positivity in the world, because we definitely need it. So thank you for every day bringing sunshine to people's lives. And so you asked me to do this on my birthday, and yes, it's my birthday. And I think if I were to talk about my values, I go back to, oh gosh, about 6 years ago, I wrote the book Missing Piece. And the reason I wrote the book to begin with was to be able to capture the legacy of our family business, Donato's, and what we stand for and who we are, and really just being a business based on love and giving back and doing the right thing. And so out of that, though, through my journey in my personal and my professional life, I kind of formed 4 different values that kind of shaped me through that time. And I had some hard times and some good times, but during that, and I think what I learned was what I call the 4 C's, and it starts with character, courage, conviction, and compassion. And then you brought out this, what is the superpower idea, which I really love, but also kind of a hard thing to do. So I'll talk about what I think my superpower is as being a connector. So starting with character, for me, throughout our whole life, we were taught, and Dad built the business on the simple, true golden rule principle of treating others the way you want to be treated. And we didn't know any different, because that's how we were brought up. And between mom and dad, mom being able to really truly love unconditionally and welcoming people into our home, since we lived right behind the restaurant and we entertained our customers every single night, really taught us the sense of hospitality. And dad with really treating others the way you want to be treated through business and giving back. And so through that, when I talk about character, it encompasses all of that. It is about honesty and integrity and authenticity and doing the right thing. My lesson with that was, while I grew up and thought I had strong character or strength of character, there were moments and times in my life where I was really challenged, not in a morally unethical way, but in a way that made me operate differently. When I started working in fear, after McDonald's had bought us and I started operating in fear, I began changing the way I did things. And so I started maybe putting on armor to go into work and trying to be someone I wasn't. And so when I talk about character, for me, it's important not only to understand your own character, but to stay grounded in it, and to also surround yourself with people of character who will call you out. Whether you start going down a path and you allow yourself to start believing things that about yourself that maybe aren't true, that you really have people that can surround you and be honest with you and hold you accountable and make sure that you're living your values out loud. And so, which takes me to my next one, which is courage. And Tom, when I think of courage, I think of you and the courage that you have had in living your life and living your values and living who you are out loud, and how important that is. And I had my own experience with that in my own way of being able just to have the courage to have a voice. I lost my voice for a period of time in the work environment, but also in my personal life. And yeah, for me, it was about not just having the courage to have your voice, but having the courage to live your values out loud. So, having character and honesty and integrity is wonderful, but if you don't have the courage to live it out loud and be who you are, then I think we all do everybody injustice because we don't get to share our true authentic selves. And so, courage to me is also about taking risks and learning and growing right now. I'm just having the courage to, I'm part of a group called Edge Sisters, and we recently brought Robin DiAngelo to town, who's the author of White Fragility. But it's about having the courage to ask questions and learn and grow and be introspective and understand that systemic racism is out there, and we have to have a voice and we have to have a courage and we have to stand up and we have to do something, which takes me to conviction. For me, conviction is all about doing something with passion and pride and making sure you're doing it for the right reasons. So when I spoke about it or write about it in the book, it was really truly about conviction about buying the company back and making sure I was doing it for the right reasons. So after we were with McDonald's for 4 years, and the family had all gone to do wonderful things, and it was Dad and I really had this passion to buy the company back because of our people. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing it to make Dad proud, or I wasn't doing it for a false sense of identity, because my identity was really caught up in Donato's, that I had to separate myself from the business. And so that was conviction for me then. And then I think it's grown into conviction for the community and doing something bigger than myself and giving back to the community in a bigger way, which led me to the Reeb Avenue Center, which then takes into account the last value, which is compassion. I read a book a long time ago, Straight from the Gut by Jack Welch, and in that book, whether you agree or disagree, I love reading books that make you think differently and see different sides of things. But he did say the kindest thing you can do for someone is to be honest with them, and I do agree with that. It is kind, but the kindest thing you can do is also have honesty and have compassion. And a Reeb Avenue Center for me, along with my really good friend Tanny Crane, that started with Mayor Michael Coleman just giving Dad a call and saying, we have to do something to lift the community on the South End up out of poverty. And so what I learned through all that, not only compassion, but just how it takes a lot of really awesome people that come together. And that, I think, then became what I identified as maybe my superpower, which is a connector. So it's identifying when there is a problem, how do you put the right people behind it, whether it was buying the company back or whether it was Reeb Avenue Center, because that was certainly not me. But it was about making sure you're talking and bringing the right people together behind an issue or a cause, so that you can lift it up and have it and really advocate for it, but have a louder voice and be able to amplify things. And so those are the things, those four values, the four C's, that had brought me to what I think would be a superpower. It's hard to say because it kind of feels, I don't know, not a superpower feels hard for me to talk about, but I think connector would be the superpower if you had to ask me.
I like that superpower. I love that because you're right. You can't do all this stuff by yourself, and but your ability to bring people together to do some great things, like buy the company back, which wouldn't have happened. I mean, wouldn't have happened without you. In fact, Donatos would not be here, frankly, if you hadn't done that. So it was amazing that you used your courage to do that, used all those values. And then with the Reeb Avenue Center, Jane, I mean, you've toured me through the center, and I have to tell you, you talk about compassion. I watch you go through the center and talk to folks and connect with them, and look them in the eye, and just the way they look back at you. the way that a lot of the folks over there they just are so grateful that you're there, and that's the big thing is that you're there, and I know you've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours there, and just you've really leaned into all those values, and you're making such a huge difference. And I guess I'm going a little long with you today because it's your birthday, but leave us on. I mean, we're in a significant moment right now, and you've inspired me by the way that you have really challenged yourself. And maybe you could share a little bit about this moment that we're in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it makes me emotional. So, I guess it's been a journey for us as a company and diversity and inclusivity. So it isn't anything that I think was such an aha, but I will tell you the week of George Floyd rocked my world and hit me in the core, like many people. And so I think for me, it was just digging deeper and figuring out what more we could do and how to be a better advocate and how to be a better ally and use my voice. So I talk about it in my values, and then using the connector as a superpower to say what can we do differently. And so I'm my good friend Tina Crane is always by my side on these things, but I've been really just trying to involve myself in different ways, and that's part of being the Edge Sisters, which was actually we formed that last February. It's just a group of women who got together that said we want to do something for the community bigger and different and end systemic racism and this disparity with poverty. And so we started meeting in February, and then I'm part of another group called Breathe and on a committee called Understanding White Privilege. And for me, it's learning. So I've been reading a lot. We brought the author of White Fragility in, but read that book. I read when I run, so or listen when I run, and just finished the new Jim Crow. And I'm in the middle of how to be an anti-racist. And it's just, I think the best thing that we can do is look in the mirror and figure out how we can be better humans.
That's beautiful. Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful. I was on a call yesterday with Conscious Capitalism Group and John Graves, who is a professor at Purdue, and just actually talking about how to be anti-racist. And I'm hopeful, but my lens is different than everybody has a different lens, and so I'm I feel like there's an awakening. I feel like truly people are listening in a different way now, but it's going to be a journey for sure.
Jane, you are an inspiration. Thank you. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you, and I just love cheering you on every day. And
You
all,
have been my biggest fan.
I'm a little bit of a cheerleader for Jane. But I hope you have a great birthday. Thanks for spending time with us this morning. Now you get out there and finish your run.
I will. I
and,
will.
and Jane, remember, even when it's really damn cloudy out, what does Dad always say? The sun is always shining.
Sun is always shining. That is true.
All
Thank
right. Well,
you.
happy birthday. I love you very much.
Thanks. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye bye.